After writing 2 transformational books myself and supporting many other beings to do the same, I've become enthralled by the deep and mysterious magic that's activated when we choose to say yes to ourselves and commit to the book writing journey. Of course, we want to inspire change and new perspectives in our readers, but the transformation that happens as an author, both throughout the writing process and by actually releasing your book into the world, is surprisingly potent. I know I've been blindsided in the most disruptive and delicious ways by some of the changes my books have brought into my life. Writing a book is like casting a spell. Although we can never be completely sure what's going to be unleashed during the process, we choose to do it anyway. This Unbound one is a heroic journey. Each book has the potential to be a magical portal, a doorway to a new world, both for you and your reader. Each book has a very specific medicine that it's here to share with us. And each book gives us the opportunity to alchemize the magnificent imperfection of our experience into gold. The truth is that anyone can write a book. We could all get a few thousand words down and put them together. But what fascinates me is what happens when we allow the book writing process to go deeper. When we say, fuck it, get naked and dive way down beneath the surface. Letting go of the shoulds and any need to be acceptable, sensible, or approved of. What fascinates me is what happens when we make ourselves fully available to being transformed by the very act of writing a book. This is Unbound Writing, and this is the process we'll be exploring together here in the Unbound Writers Club. I'm Nicola Humber, author and founder of the Unbound Press, and I help magical beings to write the transformational book they're really here to write at this time. I'm your guide here in the Unbound Writers Club, and the aim of this podcast is to help you to feel supported, encouraged, activated as you embark on your book writing journey. Whether you're a first-time author or have many books out in the world, my hope is that you will find something here to inspire you. Let's dive in. Hello, you magical soul, and welcome to the Unbound Writers Club. Today it's a solo episode, and I'm not sure exactly what's going to come through, to be honest. There are a lot of things bubbling away right now for me personally and for the Unbound community, for the Unbound Press. As I am recording this, and I'm recording it right at the end of June 2022, halfway through this year, we have just, within the last week or so, had the news from the US that the Roe versus Wade decision was overturned, and the impact that has on women's rights. And it feels like not just in the US, like the impact of that ripples out. And for me personally, as the founder of a publishing company that provides a platform for women's voices, for women's stories to be heard, that decision, the news of that decision it feels like it's anchored me even more deeply into my own personal sense of purpose and the purpose of the Unbound Press as well. We've been around, it'll be 4 years in November, and the world's been through a lot since the Unbound Press was launched. We've all been through a lot. And when I talk about we, I mean me, I mean our authors, I mean our team, I mean our community, I mean you, I mean our readers. We have all been through a lot. So I guess this episode is just a chance for us to catch our breath and see, where are we right now? What is the landscape that we are operating within as writers, as publishers, as creatives, as readers, as women? as human beings who are on this planet at this time. And, I mentioned at the beginning that there's been quite a lot bubbling, and I wanted to say kind of bubbling in the cauldron. And this is what has been coming through for me really strongly as well, is this idea, this knowing that the Unbound Press itself is like this cauldron of creativity and transformation. And, I always talk about the writing process, the book writing journey being one of transformation. Like, we make ourselves open, like we open ourselves to the potential for transformation as we step out on our book writing journey. That's a key aspect of the Unbound writing approach. And we get to experience that transformation like every single time. And I don't know why I'm always surprised about it, but our book, and this came up in the Unbound Writing Mastermind recently, like our books, they get to be medicine for us as we're writing them. And it's a very specific sort of medicine that our book will provide for us. Like, our books have this intelligence, and they will provide the exact experience that each particular writer, each particular author needs, even though they may not want it, to be honest. But your book will provide you with exactly what you need throughout the writing process, but also the publishing process as well. And this has been coming up, or this has been becoming clearer for me, and also, the team here at the Unbound Press. It's like, this is not it's easy to slip into that kind of mindset of like, once the book is written, it's just, we need to take the practical steps to get the book published. So, design, editing, distribution, all of that stuff, kind of logical, practical. We've always known that the Unbound Press, that is more than that. But what is becoming clearer and clearer is that the publishing process, the process of actually birthing your book into the world, it has the potential to be just as transformational, if not more, than the actual writing process. And I guess part of that is, particularly in times like these, when there can be a lot of pushback against not just women, but anybody sharing their truth. And I don't mean pushback necessarily in terms of like specific kind of criticism or judgment from people around what you're sharing. I just mean energetically, we can feel that sense of like contraction and pushback when we are going to share our truth in some way, because, shit is real in the world right now. And I know it always has been, and like, this is nothing new, but there's an intensity right now, and we're all feeling it. So it kind of can feel like the stakes are higher. Like, when you are going to, you can be writing your book and definitely feeling it through that process. But when it's coming to actually sharing it in the world, that is another level. So, this is what we are holding space for at the Unbound Press. And not just for one book, but for many books and for many authors. And like, individually, everyone's having their own transformational experience, exactly what they need, even when that feels uncomfortable. But collectively, we're having this transformational experience as well. So that's what I mean by this idea of the Unbound Press as a cauldron. And I guess like any kind of community, any kind of group, any kind of circle, like, we are creating cauldrons all the time where we come together and everything is like added to the mix. So I've had this heightened state of awareness, I guess, of this kind of cauldron aspect of the Unbound Press and how everything gets to bubble away. And like I said, that's, for me personally, it's for each of the authors, it's for the team members as well, and that's whether it's Em, who's our author relations magicians. She's just magical, or like our amazing editors, or our designers, or Joe, who helps produce this podcast and helps our authors with their marketing and kind of release plans for the books, like Sarah, who's helping with the PR aspect. You know, we're all part of this transformational cauldron. And what it can mean is like the book writing journey, the book publishing journey, all of it can feel like so magical. There can be so much joy. There can be a lot of pleasure. You know, that's another thing I talk about with Unbound Writing. One of the layers of it is to like allow your writing process to be pleasurable. And that goes for the publishing process as well. Like there can be all of that good stuff. And then there can also be the shit that comes up and the stuff that feels edgy and challenging and scary and frustrating and irritating. You know, that can come up too. And we get to be with the duality of that. Like we alchemize it all into gold, whether that's the gold of like really compelling writing, or it's the gold of like learning something about ourselves and our experience, or seeing things in a new way, or allowing yourself to be supported in a way that you've never been supported before, allowing yourself to be courageous in a way that you've never been courageous before. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot. And you are part of this as you're listening to this podcast. You're part of the Unbound community. You're part of this cauldron of transformation. We're all, well, this has come through for me recently as well. When I was tuning in, like I connect regularly with the Unbound Press, like the soul of the Unbound Press, the spirit of the Unbound Press, the essence of the Unbound Press, which is its own kind of energetic being. And what came through for me, I've always had this sense that each of the books that we are kind of writing together, publishing together, like each one is bringing through like the new ways that are so very needed, which are often kind of ancient ways and with maybe a new energy, but bringing through these ways that are so very needed. Like each book is a piece of the puzzle. And what was coming through for me recently is actually like the new ways are already here. Like the new is already here. And each of these books is a way for us to like, it's how we get to anchor into the new. So it feels slightly different to what it felt like before. Whereas before, it's almost like we were pulling things down and through with our books. And now, well, this is how it feels for me. And like, if it resonates with you, great. If you're like, Nick, what are you talking about? Then that's fine too. And if you disagree, I like totally get it. Like, but this is my own personal sense of it right now is that, and it definitely may not feel like the new is here right now, but yeah, that's kind of what the Unbound Press wanted me to know. Like the soul, the spirit of the Unbound Press is that, yeah, the new is here, and these books that we're writing, or the books we're being called to write, the book that you are writing, the book you are feeling called to write is a way to anchor into the new that is already here. It's like we're uncovering it through our words. And when I was on the Unbound Writing Wilding retreat recently in West Wales, which is happening again next year, by the way, there's only 3 spots left. So yeah, if you want details of that, let me know. But anyway, we had a conversation around books and whether they still have a place. Like, you know, and we talk about like New Earth and the new ways, like our book's part of that. And it's something that I've been kind of questioning, certainly this year, which has felt very challenging for me, like as someone who's a writer, an author, publisher, you know, a big part of my world is about books. So if they go, I don't know, what do I do? But it's like books can have this association with the old. Words themselves can have this association with the old, like with that linear kind of patriarchal kind of approach, like system that we've been operating within. So it's like, do we not need something new? Are there not new ways of communicating and sharing our magic and sharing our medicine and sharing our messages? And what came through for me on retreat, like in conversation, like in circle with other Unbound writers, with other women, is, there are new ways. There are new ways that are wanting to come through. There is the new that we can anchor into. And we also, like, books are still important as well. Like, books still hold a lot of magic in themselves. They get to be these portals that we create for ourselves as we're writing them. We create our own portal, and they become portals for our readers and for the collective as well. So it's not either or, like either we have books or we have these new ways of communicating and expressing ourselves. It's like books can complement anything new that is coming through. And I guess what that has been, up until now, is things like this, like the podcast, like social media, like any new ways, any new platforms that come through, like amazing. But books, they still get to be there. They still are significant. I feel like there may be a shift away from that kind of like mass market, like focus on numbers, to something more intimate and like a more intimate connection with your reader, a more intimate connection with yourself as you're writing your book, as you're bringing it through, which again is something I'm all for and we're all for at the Unbound Press. So I guess to wrap up, I feel like I've kind of like dance from one subject to another, but it all feels connected. And I just want you to know that if you're in the process of writing a book right now, or if you're feeling the call to write a book, and this is like this applies whether it's a whole book, a solo book, a collaborative book, like maybe you're writing a chapter for a collaborative book, or or an article that's being published or something like that, or even a social media post, like anything. But there's something about books, like it can feel amazing and it can also feel shit as well. Like our stuff can come up, and that is completely normal. It's completely natural. It's part of this transformational alchemical experience that you have made yourself available to, and go you for doing that. And just don't let it stop you, please, because our voices are needed more than ever now. Like, your magic is needed more than ever now. Your medicine is needed more than ever now. And no one else can bring what you bring. Like, no one else can write your book. They can write a book on a similar subject, but it can't be the book that you're feeling called to write. So yeah, let's keep doing this. Let's keep dancing around and within the cauldron of transformation that we are all part of. Let's keep anchoring into the new as the old falls away. And yeah, if listening to this has made you think, right, I am ready, I'm doing this now, get in touch. I would love to hear from you. You can message me on Instagram. I'm at Nicola Humber. Or, just pop me over an email, nicola@nicolahumber.com, because I would love to start that conversation with you. And if there is any way that I and we can support you to write and birth your book, I am so here for that. All right, my loves, I will see you again soon for another episode of the Unbound Writers Club. Until then, let's keep writing.